Squandering your life should be a much bigger worry than squandering your money. That said, you want to be sure that you're not going to run out of money before you run out of life. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can know for sure. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Asul Wells. I help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs, executives, and everyday millionaires like yourself live their best lives in retirement. And one of the ways to relax and enjoy your retirement is to have the security and knowledge that you have more than enough money to fund your retirement and to be financially secure for the rest of your life. So how do you do that? It turns out it's a really difficult problem. In fact, one of the world's smartest investors, a guy named Peter Lynch, who was a portfolio manager, a mutual fund manager at Fidelity. He ran a mutual fund called Magellan. At the time, it was one of the largest and most successful mutual funds in the United States. Peter Lynch put forth an idea that, you know what, just stay 100% invested in the stock market. Stock market returns 7 or 9% a year. So take the lower end of that range and live off of 7% of your money and live happily ever after. It's simple, it's powerful. A 7% distribution rate is pretty nice. Boy, would it have been nice if that was true, but unfortunately it's not. Shortly after he wrote that article in Worth magazine, another financial reporter did the analysis and showed that since the beginning of the stock market, the US stock market history, in 25% of the cases, people that followed Peter Lynch's advice would have ended up running out of money. And that's a huge, huge mistake. And to Lynch's credit, he admitted his error as soon as it was pointed out. So how does somebody so smart make such a horrible mistake that could have devastating impacts on people's lives? What Peter Lynch failed to account for is the importance of sequence of returns. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say over a 3-year period, the results of the market, you're going to get one of these three and you can only get each one once. But it's either going to be negative 40%, positive 15%, or positive 40%. So the average of those 3 years is positive 5%. But imagine an unlucky retiree that gets negative 40% the first year, and then positive 15%, and then positive 40%. That person's going to be in a very different situation than somebody that retires with the same amount of money that gets positive 40%, positive 15%, and then is hit with that big negative year, negative 40%. And that's what sequence of returns is. It makes intuitive sense when somebody has explained it to you, but I would bet 99% of Americans don't fully understand the importance of sequence of returns. And now you do. So given that, what do you do and how do you incorporate sequence of returns into your situation to make sure you don't run out of money? Because none of us have a crystal ball. None of us know if we're going to get those positive years right off the bat or if we're going to get the negative years. So the simple answer is to follow the 4% rule. But often simple gets you in the ballpark, but doesn't give you the assurance and the confidence that you really need. The 4% rule comes out of an area study called sustainable withdrawal rates. And what sustainable withdrawal rates, the question that it's asking is, how much money can you take out of your investment account each year, what percentage, and not run out of money over a 30-year period and have 95% confidence, 97% confidence that is not going to happen. You're not going to run out of money. You're not going to have to worry about that. And to do that, sustainable withdrawal rate studies use probability analysis, definitely includes sequence of return risk, and uses a technique called Monte Carlo simulations, where they run a bunch of those simplistic scenarios that I shared earlier, but much more complex over a longer period of time, and ask the question, Maybe they run 1,000 different lives. If you're 50 years old now, they ask, what happens if you're lucky the first couple of years? What happens if you're unlucky? What happens if you get a mix of lucky and unlucky, which is what most of us are going to have? And they look at hundreds of these scenarios or thousands of these hypothetical scenarios and say, in which case would the retiree have run out of money within 30 years or within 40 years? So that's what the 4% rule is. And to the financial planning community, it is the equivalent of E equals MC squared for physicists. It's an elegant, simple solution to a very complex problem. However, it's not that simple. Blindly following the 4% rule is a lot like skipping your physical and instead opting to just do the things you know you should do to stay healthy. You're going to eat right, you're going to exercise, get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and just hope for the best. Hope you don't get colon cancer or build up a plaque in your arteries and run the risk of a heart attack, and just hope for the best. But wouldn't it just be easier to get your physical? It's the same thing with the 4% rule. It's going to get you in the area of safety, but don't you want to know for sure that you're okay? What if you have a couple negative years? Don't you want to know for sure that you're not going to run out of money? Maybe there's some small tweaks you can do over the next couple of years to get back on track if you've had some negative years. And just like getting your physical, wouldn't it be simpler to just visit with a financial planner and know for sure that you're going to be okay? And if you visit with a fee-only financial planner, they're going to put your best interests always ahead of theirs. They have a fiduciary obligation to you 100% of the time, just like your doctor does. So don't skip your physical and don't skip visiting with a fee-only financial planner to make sure you're not going to run out of money before you run out of life. The other thing a fee-only financial advisor can help you with is maybe 4% is too low of a rate. There are strategies to get higher distribution rates and to modify your behavior when you have negative years. For instance, instead of increasing your annual distribution from your account, maybe if the stock market's negative, maybe you don't increase it even if inflation has taken away 3 or 4% of your buying power. Doing tweaks like this, your financial advisor will be cognizant of, and there's a big difference between a 4% distribution rate and a 5% distribution rate. People are often surprised to hear that the number of times I tell my clients, you know what, you can actually spend more than the 4% rule. That's much higher. The number of times I tell clients that is much higher than the times I have to tell clients, we've had a couple bad years in the stock market. We need to make some tweaks to get back on track. So visit with your financial advisor and find out what's right for you. Okay, that's it. Remember, thumbs for likes, subs for love. Be sure to watch my next video where I'm going to talk about the concept of mini retirements, which is enjoying the journey, enjoying the time along the way, and iterating and exploring to make sure that your current path is the right one for you, and also make sure that your destination is what's going to give you the most joy and excitement in life. Until next time, I'm Asul, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, you're only young once. Use this time wisely.